Many learners of Mandarin have to balance Mandarin learning with lots of other commitments, for example full-time jobs or full-time study. When I first started learning Mandarin, I was also in a similar situation. Most of the time I've spent learning Mandarin has been at the same time as having full-time study commitments studying medicine, so I really appreciate how difficult it is to balance your time. And in this video I'm going to be sharing 3 hacks that I've used in order to make the most of my limited time to learn Mandarin. So let's get started. Now the number 1 hack I want to share here is to make use of SRS, a spaced repetition system. Now what this system does is it prompts you to review and to revise things at just the right time when you're just about to forget something on the forgetting curve. And this is really helpful because you get things into your long-term memory much faster. So a good example of the amazing differences it's made in my life is I spent 5 years in secondary school learning Spanish, and I came away with that having learned very little Spanish. And one of the reasons that this was the case is when I went to class I'd be overloaded by loads of information, loads of new Spanish words and grammar, etc. But I'd have no organised system of training myself to retain all this knowledge, and I just forget it as soon as I walked out of the door of the classroom. I couldn't even remember it after a few minutes. How on earth was I going to remember it in a conversation with a native speaker? However, when it came to Chinese, I made use of SRS from the start in order to try and systematically memorize everything that I was learning so that I could then recall it easily and comfortably in conversations with native speakers. And I really think this made a massive difference. So if you're limited for time for learning a language, SRS could really make a difference for you. Now hack number 2 is look for bicycle effect methods. Now what on earth does that mean? If we were to compare running and riding a bicycle, for when you're riding a bicycle, for the same amount of effort that you're putting in as you would be when you're running, you're able to go much faster, much further, and you're getting a lot more bang for your buck in terms of the effort and the time that you're putting in order to travel a certain distance. So what we need to be doing is finding similar methods that illustrate this effect in our Mandarin learning journey. An example of one of these bicycle effect methods that has really helped me in my learning journey is to collect sentence structures and learn in the form of what we call chunking. Now, after my 5 years of learning Spanish, the one thing that I remember most clearly from all of those lessons of Spanish, and probably the only thing I could ever tell you from Spanish from that, was "Puedo quitarme la chaqueta." Now what that means is, can I take off my jacket? Because when I was in secondary school we'd had to ask permission to take off our jackets, right? And because we would be expected to use Spanish to do so, and I did it so often, that became a chunk that I could easily use without really understanding the grammar behind it, and was able to understand it and use it very easily. Now, I adopted this approach from the start of my Chinese learning journey in that I would save and learn phrases into SRS, into Anki, that were useful and relevant to my life in order to retain them effectively so that I could then go and use them in conversation and recall them well. And going back to that bicycle effect, this really helped me in order to go a lot further and faster in my Mandarin learning journey than I had previously done in my Spanish. With learning 5 years of Spanish, I didn't really get anywhere. However, with just 1.5 years of Mandarin, I was already pretty fluent. And that just illustrates the power of learning useful phrases that are really common and using them lots in conversation until they just roll off the tongue really easily. Hack number 3 is having hyper-efficient one-to-one learning time with a native speaker. This can be in the form of language exchange, or it can be in the form of one-to-one tuition. No matter how busy you are, it's really important to regularly have conversations with native speakers. It's not only to practice what you're learning and what you're retaining from all the inputs and all the other methods which I've mentioned in this video, but also to actually help you with the feedback aspect of things, to make sure that you're getting things right and getting some corrections in the case that you're not, so that you can learn better expressions for when you express something in a non-native like fashion. If we are really pressed for time, it's really important that the little time we have to practice in a conversational manner is used in a way that's the most efficient it can be. For example, my friend Misha from imlearningmandarin.com made use of the following method in order to improve his efficiency when taking one-to-one tuition classes in Mandarin. He would have conversations on topics that are relevant to his life and that he wants to be able to talk about in Mandarin with a tutor. And the tutor would then correct his mistakes on pronunciation and also with sentence structure, and sent him the sentences that he had got wrong in a corrected, idiomatic, native-like Chinese fashion, so that he could go away and learn them. And they would then write up these sentences in the form of a paragraph that was coherent and made sense in the language. And the tutor would then provide Misha with audio files of all the paragraphs of his corrections and his mistakes, such that he could then listen to them and use them as his own immersion practice, and also use them for the purpose of practicing pronunciation in the form of chorusing. Now this for him was really, really efficient, and I think it's important to adopt a similar approach in order to get corrected on things you get wrong, and then actually make the effort to try and learn the correct way of saying things. Now the whole point in getting these corrections from the native tutor is that you're then able to learn the correct expression and try and actually use it in conversations again and again, so that you don't continue to make the same mistake that you were previously making. Another way of, instead of getting paragraphs, is if you want to focus on things at the sentence level, you could also take the corrected sentences and put them into your SRS system. Okay guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single future video. I really look forward to hearing your thoughts about how to make the most of limited time when you're pressed for time, if you've got a full-time job or full-time study commitments and you're trying to learn a language. So I look forward to seeing your comments down below, and I really hope these 3 hacks that I've introduced in this video have been helpful. So I'll see you in the next video then. Take care guys, bye bye. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you want to learn how to speak fluent Chinese but you aren't too sure how to go about it, you might want to go and check out my free newsletter on peakmandarin.com. Run by me and my friend Misha, the Peak Mandarin newsletter offers practical tips and techniques to solve all your biggest Mandarin speaking problems. It's based on what we did to become fluent in the language and what we wish our teachers had told us at a lower level. Subscribe now and we'll also send you a free copy of our 50-page ebook telling the story of exactly how we taught ourselves to speak fluent Chinese while working and studying full-time in the UK. If you're interested, you can sign up on peakmandarin.com or click the link in the description below. Bye for now.